Welcome to the Peering Podcast, where the best way to see the future is to peer into it together. It's smart talk with a twinkle in its eye, about peer power, leadership agility, and collective intelligence in a world spinning faster every day. Hosted by Mike Richardson and friends, we peer into what it really takes to stay human, stay curious, and stay future ready. Real conversation, where peers get curious, curiosity gets peery, and leadership gets real. So pull up a chair and let's peer into it together.
Hey everybody, welcome back to another episode of the Peering Podcast. If you want to see the future, the best way is to peer into it together. I'm excited about this one, everybody. I've got two of my favorite people in the world joining me today on the podcast, and they happen to be father and daughter. How about that? Or daughter and father. I'm not sure which way around I should really say that, Cassidy. I don't know. We'll find.
Oh, yeah.
We'll find out a bit more in a moment. What do they call that? The tail is wagging the dog. Yeah, I think that's right.
Yeah,
okay. I'm really not. I'm not calling
you easy.
You can understand already, listeners, why I love these two people dearly. They're, number one, they're fun to be with. Number two, they have a great story, a really great story. And it's only getting better. So we'll get to know them a little bit in a moment. But where we want to go today is I'm really excited that as part of the REF peer forums that we're running up here in Temecula Valley, we're about to launch a peer forum specifically for next generation leaders, sons and daughters of our CEOs, and therefore, no surprise, Cassidy is going to join that NextGen group, and I'm really excited about having you in that, Cassidy, and journeying onwards and upwards together more than you already do. So I don't know, Bill, can you take us back? I'm a little bit fuzzy, but I think you and I first met around the 2013 timeline. How and when did you and I first meet?
Yeah, it was about that timeline when I was looking to kind of do some of my own personal coaching for me, and Vistage, I believe you were with Vistage at the time. And I had a gentleman at REF that worked up in a Corona group that he invited me to, and he invited me to a C-suite all hands meeting or whatever that was called, and met a wonderful gentleman that, just blew my mind. So I'm like, yeah, it could be a pretty good organization. But somebody was in that, or two people were in that organization that I knew, and I didn't want to, I guess,
be vulnerable
to those two people. Okay. There's for a number of different reasons. We won't get into it. It's very personal, but actually one of them was my very first purchasers of a case of Chardonnay. So anyway, long story short, I was kind of looking at Vistage, and then lo and behold, poof, you were gone. But I settled on a personal coaching through the Gazelles group with a gentleman, David Chavez, and it was eye-opening, and he gave us all the tools to help us scale, because growth will kill you if you're not prepared for it. And I was trying to do everything, and I was failing at a lot of it, or not doing any of it and then failing on those. So anyway, it taught me that I can't do everything. And as a entrepreneur, the biggest thing and the most important thing you learn is you have to do everything in the beginning, but then it gets to a point that you can't do everything. So don't even try. So anyway, kind of my journey here a little bit, but yeah.
Yeah. And Cassidy, so then I started hanging around Wilson Creek Winery a little bit, bumping into you a little bit. And then I joined the board just about a year and a half ago, and we started interacting more. And I'm not even sure what your title is anymore, Cassidy, because it just changed.
Actually, as of this week, I'm not sure either. We're here as family, you wear a lot of hats and you have a lot of different titles. So,
and how long have you been? How long have you been working in the winery?
So when people ask me that, I say my whole life, born and raised on the property pretty much. But officially January 2021 is when I started with Wilson Creek. But prior to that, I think it's important to know, as you know, in the NextGen world, we'll get into that in peer forums, but it's policy for our family that if you are a Wilson, you have to do 2 years outside experience before coming into the family. So that way you have your resume, you're qualified, you get the respect from your peers. So I went out and did that before prior. So I graduated from college, did some time with Live Nation on national marketing scale. And then I went to work for Southern Glazers Wine and Spirits, who run our distribution. And then I finally begged them to hire me. I said, you guys need help. I can see it. I'm tired of stocking other product on the shelf that isn't Wilson Creek. Please let me help. So then I joined in January 2021 on our distribution team and quickly became in charge of that.
And just keep going, because as of a few days ago, you're now in charge of something else.
Well, there now. So yeah, as a few days ago, there's a lot to it. I grew on the team, and I've realized my career has been trial by fire. I just get thrown into the fire. When I worked for a distributor, I got thrown into the busiest season selling wine. So just running around like crazy. And then quickly COVID hit. So it was crazy time for wine sales in the grocery world. And then I joined Wilson Creek, thrown into the fire there because who was supposed to be my mentor, our VP of sales at the time, had to go on leave for medical reasons and never returned. So I was just handed a laptop and they were like, figure it out. He held a lot of information tight to his chest. He was great at his job, but he was the only one that could do it. So I had to fill in all the gaps. Thankfully, our distributor was a great partner in that, but quickly got into that system, figured it out, how to win there. Obviously, there's a lot of headwinds in the wine world outside of that. But then now, the next fire I'm being thrown into, I'm now taking over our tasting room sales as of this week. So that's what's next right now. We'll figure out what's going on over there and see how we can make it better and the best Valley for the Valley.
Bill, you must already be a very proud father. I think about to become even more so, and onwards and upwards from there.
Yeah.
How cool is it to see Cassidy finding her way?
Well, what's really cool about it is none of this was my decision or my idea. This came from my executive team as they're trying to figure out who is going to fill what shoe where. And so when it came to the most important cog in our wheel, if not even the axle, is tasting room, and people all pointed at Cassidy and said, Cassidy, you should run the tasting room. And she, eyes open, goes, I'll do it. And don't know what I'm doing, but I'll figure it out. And so, she took it on, and I was just, I got goosebumps talking about it right now, but I was like, that was not my idea, but I like it.
Yeah. Let's note that it's never really been like the executive team. I'm grateful for all of them. He's very anti-nepotism. So people think, you're just here because you're Wilson. Absolutely not. I know I have the biggest target on my back. I have harsher critics because of my last name. So I have to work twice as hard to get half the credit. And that's what it's always been. So the executive team brought me on the executive team. They said I deserve a spot at this table. And then now they wanted me to have that opportunity. So I'm really grateful for the support, and I hope to knock it out of the park.
Yeah, I can vouch for all of this, everybody, because I joined the board.
Real stuff.
I joined the
My
board.
dad's not paving the golden walkway for me over here.
Yeah. I joined the board about 18 months ago, so I've been on the inside of all of this. And indeed, as Cassidy said, it's really the executive leadership team that said, no, we want Cassidy in the room. We want her having a seat around this table. How could we not? Because everybody, it's no secret that Cassidy clearly is front and center on the succession plan after a development roadmap to become the next generation CEO. Of course, it's a family business and has had, and we'll get you to fill in the gap in a moment, Bill, with the story, has had 25 years last year of legacy so far, and wants 25 more, and then 25 more, and then 25 more. And so we need that next generation leader. And so at some point, Cassidy, you'll take over from the current CEO. Is he any good?
I've got a lot to learn from this guy. being a dad, being a parent, and juggling it all, I look back and I'm sure he'll get into the story, but he was about my age when he picked up our family with 2 kids. I have 2 kids, and came down to Temecula. It changed his whole life. And it's kind of interesting because my family, me and my husband, are going through the same thing at the same period of time. And he definitely took a way bigger jump than I'm taking. He built the foundation for me to jump into. So I have a lot of admiration for what him and the rest of the family built here that I get to be a part of. And hopefully the next 25 years get my kids to be a part of too. So it's very exciting, but to do it together.
So Bill, I believe, if I'm correct, you bought the property, I think, in 1997, and you opened the winery in the year 2000. Is that right?
The timeline goes, we started looking at another winery to purchase in 1995. He dragged his heels, and we realized that he was never going to sell in 1996. My father got the bug, says, I want to do this as a family. I think we'll be very good. I don't want to start from scratch with planting grapes and wait 7 years. Let's buy an existing vineyard and let's build a winery. And my sister's boyfriend, husband at the time, was an architect. And that didn't work out. But anyway, long story, let's build was not completely out of the realm of reality. So we made the leap and sold our homes, moved out to Temecula, thinking that we're going to build a home on the property. And we started the construction with just our own money, hoping that a bank would kick in someday. And so we started the property in 97. If anybody knows what happened in 97, it rained like hell. And we have a steel building, so they never showed up. We ran into an incompetent turned criminal contractor during that time, shut it down in 98, ended up resurrecting it in 99 after borrowing money from family, friends, and anything that was nailed down. We sold it. Very, very humbling time period. That was we had peanut butter sandwiches for lunch, and we got to have the luxury of having jelly on them. Mm-hmm. I moved a 3.5-year-old with an 18-month-old into a double-wide mobile with no running water, no electricity. We had an outhouse generator and a hose. And I knew I was in trouble because my wife, when I got home, took a shower in the hose. She meets me at the front porch, hands me a training potty, and says, "This is not your daughter's." So I had to take it to the outhouse and drop it in the outhouse. And I'm like, I better hurry up and get this thing done. So we worked night and day, literally trenching to bring in electrical and water. And I'm operating a backhoe, doing all the things I've never done before. But, it just, you build it.
Trial by fire,
Trial by fire. Just get in there and figure it out, right? So, we opened our doors in 2000, and our biggest problem ever since is that we're too busy. And so it's been a really, really great problem to have, but it's been driving us. And as you know, and anybody in the business world, growth will kill you. And so we're now almost built out enough. We're not getting the foot traffic we once were. So, we're not as busy, but yet we are selling more to the people that are here. We are creating raving fans. So, we just have to weather the storm.
Yeah. What a story. What a story, everybody. And if you haven't been to Wilson Creek before, I'm sure many of you have, then come on by and visit with us. And if you're in the shop there's a sort of coffee table sized book that if you just flick through it in the first chapter or two, you'll see all the pictures of Bill pouring concrete and living in the double wide and all of those kinds of things. So it's a real entrepreneur story.
And these guys riding their tricycles and bicycles through the tasting room and out and walking naked in the vineyard is classic.
Yeah, which is what my kids are doing now. We get to visit. But I think it's really cool that the whole family was involved, right? So like my grandparents came and everything they had in it. My grandma's still around. She's 96. So if you come visit, you'll see her probably with her golden retrievers. You'll see my dad with his golden retrievers. My brother-in-law's in the tasting room. My cousin's on the facilities team and an events team. So it really is family owned and operated, which makes Wilson Creek so special, and what we carry into our staff too, treating them like family, treating our guests like family. Yeah, really is the core of what we do.
Yeah, and celebrated 25 years last year, everybody, as you heard. And so 26 years this year, as you heard from Bill, the winery and vineyard opened in the year 2000. And now, Cassidy, we're talking about, okay, the next 25 years of legacy and how we unfold all of that. And Bill, as part of that, a year or two ago, you and the family shareholders decided to reconstitute the board and to bring on some extra external people. All part, I think, of the bigger plan of, okay, we've got to shift gears and we've got to open up a whole new next chapter because, we've got headwinds, right? And we need to reset our sails, as you like to say. And we need to, really tighten things up and sail onwards and upwards from here, not least of all, to create the hospitality experience more than ever before that really is the biggest differentiator for Wilson Creek. Tell us a bit more about all of that.
Essentially, it's a big move when you go from a board of family members outnumbering the non-family members. And we were looking for one additional person to be on the board because my father had passed. And we put out a search and 3 people propped up. You weren't one of them at first, but then it was like, hey, as you and I got talking further, I go, he'd make a pretty good board member. We've got a wholesale guy, good board member, and another guy who was just a good leadership, good dude, board member. I'm like, which one are we going to pick? Mm-hmm. And we made the bold decision of having 2 family members step off the board. One is my wife, stepped off the board. She didn't want to be on the board because it's intense. Mm-hmm. And 2 is my brother. He didn't want to be my boss, and he wanted somebody else to hold me accountable than he did. So it was 2 family members and now 4 non-family members. And so, we're in a different mindset going in, and then we got these great people that we are tapping their wisdom and vision. We're just trying to get you guys all to understand the hospitality more. We have a previous gentleman that was hospitality on our board, and he's the ones that agreed with, sales are down, and oh yeah, they're down, or yes, they're up, or yes, they're down. And so he gave us a little bit, as much as you could equate our businesses together. He's been on our board since 2010. So the new guys are trying to kind of throw them in by fire, and in a kind of a tough economy, but yet, they're each contributing exactly what we wanted. We couldn't choose just one. We chose all 3. And then a gentleman that was with us for 15 years on the board says, I'm retiring anyway. It's a long commute. I've been with you, and I'm going to leave it in the good hands. So I hired all 3 of you.
Yeah. So Bill mentioned mindset there, Cassidy. Tell us more about your mindset, Cassidy, as you take on this new role and you continue to sort of evolve your roadmap of developing yourself into the future CEO. Where's your head at with all of that?
I love it. I think this is the most involved I've been with the board, especially now being part of the executive team. But I'm a huge fan of accountability and fair treatment. And I think with a board that encourages that is awesome. And it's a board that I know I can grow with. I feel like I have your guys' support, but at the same time, with that accountability piece, if I'm messing up, you're going to tell me and hold me accountable, which I would want. I would not want people to just say, oh, Cassie's doing great just for the sake of it. Like, I want to know how I can grow and learn, because I don't know everything. And this new role is something that I'm unfamiliar with, but I'm confident that I can come into a system and make it more efficient and work with people really well. So I hope that continues the next 25 years. But I also want to bring with us the legacy that got us here. So one of the things I've done is I've created a Next 25 committee within the winery. So it's a committee focusing on growing the next 25 years. It's all like the middle man, not all, but a middle manager or leader in their department, younger mostly from around the property. So everyone comes in and we just talk about like what's going on in your department. You know, everyone's so siloed with tasting over here, restaurant over here, wine club over here. So getting everyone in the room and just hearing like what's actually going on the floor and how can we make it better. And then I raise that to the executive team of where our team needs us. And I think that's been really helpful. A lot of insight, and that will continue to be that way because we know that those people are going to help me shape the next 25 years. And I want it to be something that we're all bought into.
Beautiful. Yeah. And Bill, you mentioned, over the last 25 years that you've been, building and running and being the CEO of the winery and the vineyard. You've invested in various forms of leadership development over time. And not least of all, latterly, you joined the REF CEO group that I launched in Temecula a couple of years ago. And we'll come to you in a moment, Cassidy, of joining a peer group. But Bill, what's your experience of being in a peer group, confidential, no competitors, half a day a month, 15 to 17 people, business, professional, personal life? What's your experience of leveraging the power of a peer group?
This isn't my first peer group. I was involved in a peer group dating back to 2010 with family business CEOs, with all the family part of being, talked about the most. So this is probably the second peer group that I've been in. But bottom line, I was very hesitant to be vulnerable because some of them are my friends, some of them are the peers in the valley, and I want everybody to look at nothing but good. But in those peer forums, you share the tough stuff. And when you help somebody else that's sharing their tough stuff, you're helping them solve a problem that you actually know you have. And so you're asking yourself the same question. What do I do about my situation? And so as helping them, you kind of are humbled and hold yourself accountable and say, I got to go deal with my own stuff as well. And then the speakers are fantastic. Never is the subject content something that is not important to what's happening as a CEO in our world. And as you say, and as books read, and anybody in the CEO, a CEO is a lonely job. You don't have anybody that you can really talk to about your trials and tribulations. You talk to your wife, you scare the hell out of them. Mm-hmm. You talk to their friends, you don't want to let them know that you're struggling. There's nobody to talk to. And the CEO peer forums gives other people that are struggling just like you to talk to, but more importantly, the one-on-one relationship that you have with the forum leader that will extract information out of you that you're not quite yet prepared to discuss. And he doesn't let you squirm he makes you squirm on that hook, so to speak, until you get it out and deal with it. So there's no hiding. And that's the best thing you can do as a CEO. There is just, it's just full openness. And then when you start being open and humble, good things happen.
Beautiful. Yeah, beautiful.
Just get it off without punching you in the face. We call it love-hate relationship.
Love-hate relationship, yeah. And Bill jokes with me that I have size 15 and a half feet. So with the help of AI, they've created an image of me and my size 15.5 feet, but it's okay. I love the love-hate relationship too. And what Bill said, everybody, is I often call these peer groups a hall of mirrors, because every question that we ask of another member reflects right back on us, and we're asking it of ourselves, and it reverberates around the hall of mirrors, and it lands on everybody, and everybody's asking themselves the same question. Oh my gosh, that's a great question. I think it applies to me too. Or every bit of input that we give, a suggestion, a recommendation, a story, an experience, an insight, a different way of looking at something or thinking about something, doesn't just land on the member we're giving it to. It reflects right back on us. It's like, wow, that's brilliant. Maybe I should do that myself. And then reverberates around everybody and lands on everybody to some degree. So Cassidy, this is what you're coming into. You're walking into
the I see you guys meet up here, and I kind of just want to put my ear against it, and like I want to go in there.
You're walking into this sort of hall of mirrors. We're going to launch this. We are launching this NextGen group in September for sons and daughters of CEOs who are on, feature large on the succession plan. Also, rising stars in non-family businesses who also feature large on the succession plan as a future business leader. What are you looking forward to about being part of a peer group, a peer forum, a personal advisory board for yourself? What are you looking forward to?
I think similar to him, I mean, it's a very unique situation you're in, right? And it could be taken of two ways. Some people get it handed to them and, get looked at them like, oh, well, they're just here because she's the daughter. But if you're really working at getting that respect from everyone, there's a lot of gray lines. It's not black and white, right? Like you have your family hat on, you have your management hat on. And for me, it's about to get even more difficult because now I have family reporting to me. So, I'm sure issues are going to arise, and learning how other people in a NextGen forum have dealt with that and how they've grown their own reputation is something I'm looking forward to discussing. Because I'm sure I'm going to come with a lot of those situations in mind now that I just gained a whole bigger team and a bigger spot on the property. So I'm looking forward to bouncing ideas off of everyone, and also just getting more mentorship in the area. I'm excited to connect with other businesses for a networking standpoint as well. And just we're been huge on community with Wilson Creek. So now it's my turn to get involved in the community as well. It's always been through like osmosis through my parents. And now it's my turn to make those connections and get my name out there through forums like that.
Beautiful. Yeah. And, as Bill already said, being a CEO of a complex business, whether it's a winery and vineyard and a distribution system, or it's, an aerospace company like I used to run, or it's a real estate development company, or it's a fast food company, or it's a wholesale distributor company. It doesn't matter, right? Those are all complex businesses and organizations and companies to run, especially when, you've got hundreds of employees and thousands of customers and clientele and patrons and all of that kind of stuff. It's complex, everybody. And if you like, filling the hole as a round peg in a round hole as a CEO, that's hard. Like fully filling those shoes, fully filling that seat is hard, everybody.
Right. And sometimes my shoes will look different. We agree on a lot. We're very similar in a lot of ways, but we also differ in a lot of ways for the better, for the most part. So depends who you ask, I guess.
Yeah. And so Cassidy obviously is going to find her own mode as a CEO progressively. She's not going to try to be a second-rate version of Bill. She's going to be a first-rate version of Cassidy and bring her own flair to it. And indeed, I actually like to talk about this being a square peg in a square hole, because to be a really effective CEO, you actually need some fairly sharp corner pieces, right? Where you have a cutting edge around strategy and a cutting edge around execution and a cutting edge around, the sort of mental agility and innovation required these days to sort of out maneuver the future, out invent the future. And not least of all, as you mentioned, a cutting edge around accountability. And that can be one of the most challenging things of all, right? It's hard to thread the needle of accountability, not too much, not too little, not too hard, not too soft. It's
especially
hard.
in a family business where I said we do treat everyone like family. So there's a lot of really close relationships within staff, within executive team that have built off of 25 years. And obviously we want to keep that and continue to grow that and make people feel welcomed and encouraged to be here. But at the same time, we have to hold people accountable because this is a business and we need people to do their job. So it is walking a fine line, like you said.
Yeah. Yeah, what she said. Bill, if you're watching the video, everybody, Bill is pointing at Cassidy. Yeah, what she said.
Easier said than done, as I said.
And in many ways, in many ways, everybody, of course, that all adds up to culture, which then adds up to brand, right? Which adds up to reputation, which is, let's go to Wilson Creek because I've heard, or indeed I've experienced, or indeed every time I go there, I experience phenomenal hospitality, a phenomenal, experience from the parking lot, all the way through to the restaurant and then all the way back out. It was just seamless and it was beautiful. And I'm just now, as you said earlier, Bill, I'm just now a raving fan telling all of my friends, you have to go to Wilson Creek. So that's how this all adds up, everybody. So I'm really excited, Cassidy, about having you coming into the forum. We're going to put this forum together, about 15 people. We've got 2 or 3 people committed already who are just going to love being together. We've got another half a dozen or so prospects who are in conversation. We'll get started with sort of plus or minus 8 initial founding members, and then we'll build this out to sort of plus or minus 15. And it'll be this half-day meeting, confidential, coming together, no competitors in the room, totally confidential, where everybody's helping everybody become that great leader, and ultimately where they feature on the succession plan, become a great CEO, that square peg in a square hole. It's got that round peg inside of it, right? You've got to be a rounded person. You've got to, be that leadership presence, but having those cutting edges as well is really crucial. And this is all part, everybody, of this sort of bigger ecosystem of support that we're putting into place up here in Temecula Valley that I like to call CXO Exchange. Because I'm on the board of Wilson Creek, we can easily book the ballroom anytime we want to with enough forward planning. And so we did a big event last year where we had about 100 people in the room, including Bill and Cassidy. And we're going to be doing the same thing again this year in November, where I aim to hit the buffers of the ballroom this time. It can hold, in theory, I think 200 people. And that's my plan, to fill it again. And all the ref members will be there of all these different groups that we're growing. And we'll have lots of guests from around the valley coming as well. So what's next, Cassidy? You just got this new job. A new challenge. Tell us more about the next few days, weeks, and months.
Yeah, I mean, just hitting the ground running for sure. I don't know what my title is or what I'm called, but it doesn't matter. I'm just meeting with our leaders in the tasting room over there, figuring out what's working, what's not. Today we're launching a new product. It's called our Bubbly White Cab. So my first order of business was to go get the balloon arch up over there. Something so simple, right? But it's little things. And then really working with the team to make sure they feel supported. They're confident with me on board and eager to dive in together to make the whole process better. But I think with me, they know I have nowhere to run. I have no escape plan here. So they're stuck with me, and I want to succeed just as much as I want them to succeed. So if they lose, that means I'm failing and I'm losing, and that's not an option. So the next step is just get in there, get my hands dirty, and figure out what the next real big step is. Figure out what the biggest pressure point is in there, and again, just hit the ground running. We have no other choice but not to.
And just coincidentally, the tasting room manager that reports to her, that is the lead dog over there, it's her birthday yesterday and is on vacation for 3 days. So
no, like 5 days.
Yeah. It's 5 days until she's scheduled to come back next Wednesday. So Cassidy's going to be in there. I told her, just get your hands dirty. Just start pouring wine, start figuring it out. Just show by example.
I might not know how to use the cash register, but I know how to talk to people and where to direct them to do so. So we'll be great.
And then lead.
It's the best way, right? Just get thrown in the deep end and learn how to swim and
sink or swim, and there's no choice
and
but
earn,
to swim.
Give and earn respect, simultaneously as you do so, and then magical things happen. Love it.
Right. That's the thing with being on the succession plan. Like I don't want it given to me. I want to earn it, and I want it to be respected as I get there. So I don't want it to just be like, oh, tomorrow, here you're at. Here you are. I want it to be like, oh, she's worked really hard to get here. She understands the business. She's definitely an asset. So we want her. I want to be the team to want me to be in that position, not just handed. So this is part of it.
And that's what happened on her being part of the executive team. I brought her to a strategy session because she's part of wholesale. They said she needs to be here every Wednesday to be on our executive team. And I'm like, okay. Then she's able to tell me stuff that they are scared to tell me. So she holds me accountable more than anybody else on the team holds me accountable. And the last person I want to disappoint is my daughter. And so there's that dynamic, which I think they all knew that would happen. Mm-hmm. And then it was their decision as well to put her in charge of the tasting room as her next frontier, and that we can find somebody that can do the wholesale, job. The tasting room job is an animal, and it's a very, very important animal. And I believe she is the best person for that job. At some point, she was going to have to figure it out. Mm-hmm. Some point, she would have to be here in the thick of it. And that's where it all starts, over in the taste room. So I'm super, super proud. It's a little early, but she'll figure. She goes, if I have to commute every single day from Yorba Linda, I'm going to commute every single day.
We forgot to leave that part. I live in Orange County, so I'm driving down to 91 and 15 quite often.
But she still has her room here, so
yeah,
which we took a kid's room. So
and figuring out how to get relocated down here. So actually. Tell us a bit more about the family side of life for you, Cassidy. You've got a growing family. Tell us a bit more about that.
Yeah, so I have 2 kids. I have an almost 3-year-old and then a 16-month-old. So they're definitely keeping me busy. The best part, I used to just come down here on Wednesdays because I was our executive team, and Wednesdays was always Grandma's day. So I would drop them off at my mom's house, and they literally think this place is Disneyland. We had an annual pass to Disneyland, and my son was like, I don't want to go to Disneyland. I want to go to Grandma's house. And I was like, that's it. I'm canceling Mickey Mouse, and we're going to the winery. So, and then, Friday nights we're here, the whole family, my son and my niece are dancing on stage together. So it's awesome. There's with Grandpa dancing on the stage. So there's 4 generations living on the property currently, because my sister and my niece and nephew and my brother-in-law live here. And that's the 4th. And my grandma living here. So I'm excited to be a part of it, hopefully. I mean, that's going to be a long process, but I'm grateful to have a husband that fully supports that dream and knows that this is a legacy that we can both buy into for our whole family. And hopefully something maybe I'll be sitting in his seat one day and my son or daughter sitting here. And that's really the end goal. But right now we're just in the thick of it. We had 2 under 2. Like I said, my youngest is 16 months. So we're getting out of that fog, and doing that as a mom and working and growing my career at the same full speed is a whole different podcast, let me tell you. But we're doing it. I might be like changing diapers and on a conference call, but someone's got to do it. So
yeah, and that's why I'm really excited to have this NextGen group, mostly made up of family business NextGen, leaders, because the especially working mothers, by the way, I take my hat off to you. I have my whole career. Anytime I've seen a professional working mother, that's got a professional career as well, I have no idea how you do it along the lines that you just said. Multitasking to the extreme. We've all got something we could learn from that, us males. So it's going to be really exciting. And what we've got to do, of course, is to help Cassidy and her peers in the group become that square peg in the square hole with the CEO skills that they need, navigate the family dynamics that they're involved in of these multi-generational businesses, and not least of all, reinvent, out-invent the future. Because here we are in the face of AI. Here we are in the headwinds around alcohol and younger generations changing their relationship with all of those kinds of things. Here we are in the face of economic uncertainty and global, politics and all of those kinds of things. And so there's just this never-ending list of issues and challenges and problems and opportunities coming at you, as Bill said, that you can't help but struggle with. And being in a peer group, that's confidential just means you can, be transparent about it and be vulnerable about it and just put it on the table with others. And of course, what you learn is you're not alone. Everybody's struggling with the same kind of stuff. And so, knowing that is half the solution. It's not just you. And so, listeners, that's what this is all about. If you are a NextGen leader yourself, listeners, and you're here in the Temecula Valley area, then drop us a call. We'd love to hear from you because you might be able to be in the same group as Cassidy here and some other people who've already raised their hand. And not least of all, we will be meeting fairly frequently at Wilson Creek Winery, so that's not a bad place to be. Final thoughts for our listeners as we begin to land the plane here. Bill, what else would you offer our listeners on anything at all?
Well, you don't just say, the people around Temecula Valley. I commuted down to San Diego, commuted to Corona, and it was worth it.
Yeah.
Right. It's not just people here. It's worth. We have somebody, the CEO, he commutes from Orange County, eventually wanting to move out here. So, don't put that square peg in a round hole and just being Temecula. But again,
but there's a lot of us in the Valley for sure. A lot of family businesses.
Yeah, the professionalism, as you've stated over time, is void in this valley as far as coaching and whatnot. But in landing the plane here, again, it's so important to be able to share without judgment. I mean, there might be a little judgment in there, but you're sharing and they're all saying the same thing. And I'll remember, and I'll never forget, one of our person's first day, she had an issue. And we all told her, you have to fire your manager. And she looked out of utter holy, I don't know what I would do without this person, yet alone have to go fire her. And if I remember correctly, you said tomorrow. And lo and behold, the next day, the person gave her notice and quit. And I said, hey, name unmentioned here, just think of what you would have gone through in your head had you not heard from a peer group telling you had to do something you weren't even thinking, remotely thinking of doing at the time. And then she quits. You would have spun out of control. And here you went, oh, thank God. I didn't have to do it. She did it on her own. And I go, that's the benefit of the peer forum, right? She gets worth the first day.
Yeah, well, that's speaking to everybody as a CEO. It's a really hard job on so many different levels. And when you're isolated on your own and you're not in this hall of mirrors, you can easily lapse into denial and you're just not even aware of it. It's a sort of unconscious denial. How much longer are you going to tolerate this stuff is the kind of accountability that you get from a Hall of Mirrors peer group. And so that was what, we were doing in that moment. We weren't relieving the CEO of their responsibility. It's their decision at the end of the day. But when they've got a sounding board of other peers in the room that they trust, I trust your perspective, I trust your experience, I trust your vantage point, then it just helps build self-confidence to do difficult stuff. Thanks for sharing that, Bill. Well said. What final thoughts, Cassidy, do you have for our listeners?
Well, I've enjoyed the CXO exchange to the point that I've been involved in that, and the AI incubator event was really helpful, just hearing from other people. So I'm looking forward to the NextGen forum. looking forward to getting more involved with the family business and the board with your help there, and just ready to take on the next chapter of challenges.
Yeah, beautiful, everybody. So there we have it, another episode of the Peering Podcast. If you want to see the future, the best way is to peer into it together. If you fancy being in the NextGen Peer Forum with Cassidy, drop us a line and we'll certainly have the conversation. Bill, Cassidy, what a pleasure. What an honor. You're two of my favorite people. Thanks so much for taking the time today. We'll see you at the next board meeting. And the listeners, come on back and be with us next time. Thanks, everybody.
That's it for this episode of the Peering Podcast, where we believe the best way to see the future is to peer into it together. If today sparked something for you, share it with your peers. And keep the conversation going at peeringpodcast.com, because leadership gets clearer and the future gets brighter when we peer together. Thanks for listening. And until next time, keep peering in.